Hello my lovelies, and welcome to the scene that is utter devastation in my kitchen. We had the family round for Isla's birthday last night, and this is what's left over because I was too tired to tidy up. I'm feeling particularly overwhelmed with the state of the kitchen. I have a few things that I need to get done today, so I thought I'd bring you along with me, and maybe you can use this as a bit of a body doubling video. I know that I quite often find them really helpful in motivating myself to get things tidied up. Probably won't get all of it done, but we can break the back of it. Oh my word, this is just, it makes my brain hurt. I'm going to start off here by clearing all the leftover food, and this is not going to go in the rubbish because we have the chickens. You know, they are great little waste disposal units and they will eat pretty much anything. What they don't eat, generally the dog will. So, you know, food scraps don't tend to go to waste in this house unless it's really, really something gone off and nasty, at which point it will, pardon me, even go in the fire or go in a pile that we have outside. It has to be pretty bad to go in the rubbish bin. There's a few leftover wraps there that have gone hard, so I'm just going to put them out and the chickens can enjoy them too. The girls are always super duper happy to see us, and I don't know why, but in my head anyway, chickens have an Australian accent. You open the door and they're like, "Come on, feed me, I'm hungry, come on, hurry up, feed me." But anyway, I digress. We put food scraps into the chickens and out come eggs, so I think it's a very nice arrangement and it works well for us. And with the price of eggs these days, you know, it's a good trade. I'm not going to complain about it. Now that we've got rid of all the food scraps, it's time to clear the dishes away. Now, I am incredibly lucky to have a dishwasher, and I thank my lucky stars. I'll stick my teeth in. I thank my lucky stars every single day that I do have one, and one that works well and cleans very well. It makes my life a lot easier because the amount of dishes that we go through on a daily basis, I would be at the sink constantly. Now, although I am lucky to have a dishwasher, the layout of this kitchen means that the dishwasher is in the pantry, so there is a lot of toing and froing. I'd pre-emptied this dishwasher, but usually you're backwards and forwards emptying it and then backwards and forwards reloading it. And, you know, it absolutely does save me time. But there are days, you know, when I've had to reload the dishwasher quite a few times where it's just like, life would be so much easier if it was beside the sink. Because this isn't our house, you know, I'm not able to change that. But that's okay. You know, we will use it and be grateful for the fact that we have it. But yeah, you'll see that there is just lots of toing and froing. So I would like to know, are you team dishwasher or team hand wash? You know, I was desperate for a dishwasher for years and years. and was so glad when I was finally able to get one, especially having what would be considered a larger family. It really does make my life easier. But I know some people who don't have one and they're quite happy and they don't want one. But yeah, I'm most definitely team dishwasher. So now that we have loaded the dishwasher and cleared some space in the kitchen, I'm going to cover over this remaining bit of birthday cake, because I'm sure the birthday girl will want to have some of this when she gets in from school. There's always cries of, "Where's the cake? Who had the last slice?" So I better make sure that this is kept safe and not snaffled by anybody deemed not appropriate. I'm going to put a few things away as well. I'll put the bottles of juice and lemonade away in the cupboard, and just put things away where they ought to be. Right, let's give this sink a good scrub. I know it probably doesn't make sense to some people to clean the sink before you do the washing up, but in my mind, anyway, strange though it might be, you need to have a clean sink to clean your dishes, otherwise you're just putting more dirt onto things. And the draining area especially can get, there's a build up of gunk and gunge and water residue and things like that. So it just, I like for it to be clean when I know that there's going to be a good amount of washing up getting done. I'm going in with some Barkeeper's Friend just to help remove any of that build up or any kind of really tough stuck on bits. It just lifts it all. It's great, and it's really good on porcelain sinks as well for lifting those stains out if anybody has trouble getting the stains out of their sink. I'm hoping that in doing this video of sort of sorting the kitchen out, it will maybe help someone feel not so alone about being overwhelmed, because I get really, really overwhelmed, not only with the kitchen but the entire house. I'm not going to lie about that. I know exactly what it is I need to do, but I quite often feel so overwhelmed that I don't know where to start, and I just look at it and I'm like, what do I do? And I know exactly the steps I need to take, and once I get started, I really, really do get into it, but it's that getting started, and I think a lot of people have that trouble. So please know, if you feel like that you're not alone, and I completely and utterly understand. I am really, really good at going in and, if somebody else said, "Oh, could you come and help me do this?" I'm really good at organising the tasks and saying what needs to be done. But come and do it in my own home, I just, I don't know if it's brain fog or just the overwhelm. I guess because there's the emotional attachment to it being my home, that I just get absolutely stumped. So yeah, please know you're not alone, and I get it. I absolutely do get it. Now, can we take a moment to appreciate the new tap? I bought this in the home-based closing down sale, so I got a lot of money off, and then I had some vouchers to use that I got at Christmas time, so it meant that I got the tap for a fraction of the price. So I was very, very happy. It's exactly what I wanted, because I did have the tap previously that had the two bits to it, and it was just too top heavy and it was falling over. Well, not falling over, but it just, the seal around the bottom had started poking out from underneath because of the weight of it, and so I decided I wanted this to replace it, and I'm really glad I waited, because I've think I only ended up paying about 38 € for it in the end, which is a fraction of the cost. So yeah, I'm super duper happy with this. You can change it between the shower hose and just the normal tap flow, and it just makes life a lot easier for cleaning things around the sink, be it just lightly rinsing off, or if I want to give the plant pot a little bit of a water. It's great. So that is the sink tidied, and now it's time to get the washing up done. And there's not loads to do, but it's all the big stuff and chopping boards that doesn't fit in the dishwasher. So I'm going to crack on and get that done. Because this corner is right by the back door, or front door, depending on which way you look at it, it's the main door that we use into the house. It becomes a bit of a dumping ground, and I'm trying to make a conscious effort to keep it clear, but everything does just land there, and now that the flour is kept there, it ends up all over the place. So all the worktops need a good clear down, and I'm just going in with some homemade all-purpose cleaner, and I make this using Castile soap and some warm water, some essential oils that I add to the Castile soap before the water, and then I put a little bit of vinegar in as well. And you can't put the vinegar in with straight on the Castile soap, because otherwise it clumps up and it forms little lumps. I don't know, it just goes a bit strange. Anyway, I've decided that it all needs just a good wipe down, and I'm pulling out the tea and coffee caddy there just to get rid of any little bits that have fallen down behind there. And already it's feeling a lot better. It feels a lot brighter. I'm just putting my supplements away there. So I don't know if you can see, but it's an improvement already. So we'll get this main bit of the worktop cleared down as well, and put the pepper away. Now that giant squash looking thing is actually a round courgette that we harvested, must be September last year, and it's become a bit of a science experiment to see how long it'll last before it goes mushy, because it went from green to this yellow colour, and it's still going strong. You know, we're quite amazed. I'm quite scared to cut into it, because it'll probably be quite starchy and mealy, but yeah, it features quite a lot in videos at the moment because it's on the worktop, and yeah, I will let you know when it finally gives in, but it's still going strong at the minute, even though my kitchen is on the cooler side, but it's pretty warm, you know, by food storage standards. Look at that. That just feels so much better to me, and I can feel my mind calming down. Now that we've wiped down all the surfaces, and I've given the table a wipe down as well. It's time to sweep the floors, and this always makes the kitchen just feel so much tidier. And it's really important that I get under that mat because it gathers an awful lot of dust. We're very lucky to have the porch at the back door, which means that we're not walking muck straight into the house, but this floor does get quite mucky, and we have the dog inside, so there's always dog hair about the place. And just doing something simple like making sure that the floor is clear always makes it feel a lot better in here. So be it hoovering or sweeping up, it just, it does just, in my head anyway, make the kitchen look a lot better. Now that we have the kitchen in some semblance of order and all is feeling right with the world again, it's time to do some cooking. On this particular day, it's Pancake Tuesday, and of course the kids are expecting pancakes, and I don't want to disappoint them. So I'm getting on with making some sourdough discard pancakes. I have quite a lot of sourdough starter, and this is a really good way to use it up. I'm just measuring out the butter at the moment because this needs to get melted and allowed to cool down a little bit before we get on with the rest of the recipe. Now that we've melted the butter and it's been cooling for a few minutes, I'm going to weigh out the rest of the ingredients. Now I'm very much, I'm quite happy eyeballing things, but getting sourdough things right at the moment, because I kind of fell out of the flow of it. I'm very conscious that I want to get things right and not waste ingredients. So I'm finding that weighing everything out properly is making a huge difference to the results that I'm getting. Once my confidence levels get back up again with it, I will certainly start eyeballing things again. But I just, at the minute, I want to make sure that I get it right. And I'm following a recipe by Lisa from Farmhouse on Boone. She is the queen of all things sourdough, and so I'm quite happy following this recipe from her. And as you can see, I've got quite a large jar of sourdough starter there. I'm just weighing that out into the milk, and there's plenty left over. It's I'll be working my way through that before I feed it up again. I'll probably, when I've run it down, put it into a smaller jar because it does take quite a bit of flour. Next thing to go in is the plain flour or all-purpose, depending on where you live. They're both the same thing. Just weighing that out. Now, usually I would mix things in a bowl, but you'll see in a minute why I've put it in the jug. Pancakes are a lot easier just to pour, and it was actually my friend Julianne who I saw making pancakes the other week there, and she did it in a jug, and I thought that's actually a really, really good idea. That saves on so much washing up. Putting in a couple of eggs from our lovely chickens. Yeah, look at the colour of those yolks. Every chicken, I cannot speak today at all. Every chicken is a slightly different coloured yolk, and that's, there's a beauty in that. A quick battery change, as the battery ran down there, and I'm going in with some salt and baking powder. And I'm just going to finish off that tub because it's pretty much done. And finally, I'm going to add in the melted butter. and that is completely cool now, so there's no chance of you ending up with scrambled eggs when you pour that on. So this is why I put it in the jug. I've got the hand blender out and I'm just going to mix it in the jug. The hand blender is great because it means that you're not going to get any lumps, or the lumps are going to be minimal. Now, I found that this batter is a little bit thinner than the batters that I'm used to making for pancakes, but actually these went down a treat with the kids, and even my eldest, who claims to have gone off pancakes, decided to try one and was like, "Mum, they're banging, they're absolutely great." So I will be using this recipe again, and maybe having that thinner batter is not a bad thing. You know, I'm used to making the thick fluffy pancakes, but the taste in these was really, really good. Wasn't overly sour. You can make a pancake batter that sits overnight when you're making sourdough ones, and really let it ferment and get that sour tangy taste to it. But I needed to get these made before the kids got home from school. Now for the fun bit, let's get these pancakes made. I'm just preheating my cast iron skillet or frying pan, depending on where you live. Now these will take a little bit longer to heat up than your normal frying pan, but they hold a steady temperature a lot better. You do have to sort of fiddle about with it to get it right, but you know, I find that it's quite good, and mine is quite well seasoned, so it is relatively non-stick. I do need to add a little bit of oil, just because, you know, you need that when you're making pancakes, regardless of whether it's non-stick or not. So I'm just letting that go around the pan there, and I'm going to take some of the excess up with a bit of paper towel. So I reckon that's probably hot enough now, and I'm going to just pour the first one. Now, these ones that I made, because the batter was a bit runnier than I'm used to, they ended up quite large pancakes. Kids weren't complaining, you know, they were quite happy. So, you know, I will definitely do that again the next time. So it was about this stage that I realised I hadn't added any honey or sugar into the pancake batter. So I had to go and very quickly get the honey and add that in to the rest of the pancake batter. So the bubbles have popped on the top, and it's time to flip our pancake over. And I was slightly concerned that the heat was too hot, but actually, no, we were fine. All was well with the world. It's not bad for the first pancake. Usually the first one's sacrificial, but we're not having to make a sacrifice to the pancake gods today. After a minute or two, it's ready to take this pancake out and get on with making the rest. So I'm very pleased with that one. And there was just a little bit of residue left there, so scrape that out. But onwards with making the rest of the pancakes. We'll add a tiny bit more oil, just because there's that wee bit stuck in the middle there. And you know, just swirl that around the pan. Now, because I added that honey in last minute and not with the rest of the ingredients, I'm having to make sure that I give it a really, really good stir to make sure it's well combined. But it's all good, and as you can see, another gigantic pancake. I'm going to continue on until I've finished making the rest of them. We're on the last pancake. Thank goodness. It did take a wee while to get done, and I have to say I'm very glad that I did this before the kids got home from school, because they're usually hovering about the place asking when I'm going to be finished making pancakes. So it's really nice that they are going to be able to come home and just have them and they're ready to go. I'm going to cover these with a tea towel just to keep them fresh. So you remember those burgers that we made last week and put in the freezer? Well, I was looking for an easy dinner this evening. Tuesday nights are always very busy as I have to get Isla to her music lesson. So I want something that's quick for dinner, and burgers are perfect. So as I have a lot of sourdough starter to use up, I thought, why not get some burger buns made? These are really quick and simple, and I will hold my hand up and say that I do also use the fast-acting yeast in these as well, just because I was a bit short on time. If I had a thought about it, I would have got these started probably yesterday, but forward planning's never been a great strength of mine. So I am using that as well. I've just put some flour and butter in there, and I'm going in with my sourdough starter, which is lovely and bubbly and active. And this made really, really beautiful hamburger buns. I'm going to say it's probably the best batch that I have made yet. You know, and the kids, they really, really enjoyed them too. Once I have got the starter in there, I want to add in my water or my milk. You know, you can get a really nice result using milk instead of water. It gives you a much softer crust, but I wasn't thinking at the time, so I just went with water. And I'm going in with honey instead of sugar. It just gives, I don't know, there's something quite nice about baking with honey. And because we have the access to it with the beehives, you know, it makes sense to use that instead of sugar all the time. There are certain situations that call for using sugar, but when I can use the honey, I will, because it just feels the right thing to do. Next up, I am adding in some salt and a quick dash into the pantry to get the fast-acting yeast. You never find it, even though it's in the same place every time. Now I buy big 500-gram packs of the instant yeast when I order my big bags of bread flour. It's so much cheaper to do it that way, and I just keep it in a glass jar. We're going to pop the dough onto the mixer and just get it going. The beauty of this is you just mix it. There's no stretch and folds involved with it, which, although it helps to develop the gluten in there, you know, we don't need to worry about that. I've got my baking tray lined with baking paper, and the dough has finished mixing. It's a wee bit sticky, just because I've got the sourdough starter in there. The recipe that I normally use doesn't have that in, so it's a little bit firmer, but I think that's probably what gave me the really nice soft burger bun this time. I'm just dividing the dough up into 6 buns because there's 6 of us, and so it makes sense to do that. With each piece, I'm just going to kind of roll it up both ways, and then put some tension in the dough by rolling it down the surface just with my hands into a bowl shape. And I will do that for each one. You know, it doesn't take long to do. I find shaping the dough can be quite therapeutic. You don't have to be that rough with it. You know, it depends on the firmness of the dough. Sometimes you have to give it a little bit of welly, but it shouldn't generally be that firm that you're having to work it too hard. And because I'm dividing this into 6, they're decent size hamburger buns, because the burgers that we made are the quarter pounder size, so they're they fitted really, really well on here. So that is the final bun shaped and put on the tray there. And as you can see, they're looking good. I'm just going to squash these down a bit so that they don't rise too much and they'll end up with that proper hamburger bun shape. Now I have preheated my oven to a very low temperature, about 60 degrees. These are going to go in there for 20 minutes just to prove. It speeds up the whole process, which is what we want, nice and quick. Whilst we're waiting on the buns proving in the oven, I want to show you something I've been working on. It's called a ginger bug, and this is what you need to start making ginger beer. So all you need to do is chop up some ginger with the skin on, some sugar and water, and you keep adding to it each day until it starts to get really fizzy. And this has consistently been having bubbles for the last few days, so it's ready to use. I have got a big gallon jar there, and I'm going to add in 300 grams of sugar. Now I can hear a lot of people going, how much? That's an awful lot. And yes it is. However, during the fermentation process, all the yeasty beasties need something to feed on, and the sugar is what they eat. So a lot of the sugar actually gets eaten up and isn't there anymore. So it's the same principle as if you were making kombucha or water kefir. You would add sugar into that as well. The next thing that we need to add in is water. Now you guys probably saw by the sink, I have my water filter there, and filtered water I think it's quite important because there's so much stuff added to our drinking water that can kill the fermentation process, but let's be honest, it doesn't smell or taste great a lot of the time. I can smell chlorine really quite strongly off of our tap water, quite a lot of the time, but even more so when it's rained heavily. And it's really, really off-putting for me. I don't like it, that's why I have the water filter. And that the specific one that I have, it takes out all the nasty stuff, but it leaves the water being sort of pH balanced. So it's not taking absolutely everything out of it. It's leaving the good stuff in there and taking the bad stuff like the fluoride and the chlorine out of it. So I'm just filling up my jug with the water at the minute, and yeah, I would highly recommend that everybody filter their tap water. Unless you're on well water and you know you've had it tested. We have friends who are on well water and their well water is absolutely beautiful. It's so fresh to drink. So I'm just adding in the 2 litres of filtered water now to that, and I'm going to give this a stir until the sugar is dissolved. Now this is, I'm having a brain fart here. It is golden granulated sugar. It's not your white refined sugar. So it's never going to be 100% clear. The water will always have a slight yellow tinge to it anyway because of the colour of the sugar. And that's absolutely fine. I find it quite satisfying stirring sugar into water. I don't know about you. I know I'm a bit strange. Well, more than a bit, but anyway. It's dissolving really, really well, and it didn't take that long to do. Now for the exciting part, we add some of the ginger bug. The recipe that I'm using, I've doubled, just because why not? Go big or go home, as they say. So I need to put in 12 tablespoons of the ginger bug, and this will be quite good because it means that I can put some fresh stuff in there and feed it up. I probably lost track a couple of times, so there'll be a few extra in there for good measure, but I'm sure it won't do any harm to have extra ginger bug in there. This should only take, I don't know, 3 or 4 days until it's ready to drink. So I will need to give it a stir every day and keep tasting it and until it's to my liking. Now this should not be alcoholic. I'm saying should not, but we will see. I remember being served up some ginger beer. The last batch of ginger beer that my mum's friend made before she passed away at the wake, and it was rather potent. But anyway, I'm going to cover this over with a cloth and put this somewhere relatively dark and cool. That's the buns finished proving there, and I'm just going to glaze them a little bit with milk. You can use egg yolk to glaze them, but I find that leaves them a little bit dark looking and more prone to sticking to the parchment paper, so milk is absolutely fine to use. And I've cranked the oven up to, let me think, yeah, it was 180 degrees that I've turned the oven up to, and it's pretty much come up to temperature now. These are just, they looked so good when they came out of the oven, when they'd proved, and they didn't kind of rumple up whilst they were waiting for the oven to come up to temperature. Sometimes when you go to glaze them, it's almost like they deflate, but these didn't do that, which was really, really lovely to see. So I'm really pleased with how these turned out, and we'll definitely be making a lot more of these because it's so much nicer than the ones that we can buy in the shop. You know, yes, the shop bought ones are handy, but these just, yeah, they were better than shop bought. So they're going to go in the oven for 15 minutes at 180 degrees. So the time's up, and I have a little helper to turn the timer off for me. Whoops, he's tripping over his school bag there. Look at these. Don't they look amazing? The smell in the kitchen is rather beautiful, I have to say. There's something about freshly baked bread that is just quite special. I'm going to transfer these over to a cooling rack just so that they don't get a sweaty bottom, because nobody wants a sweaty bottom, do they? I want to thank you so much for joining me this week, and I hope you've enjoyed the video. I release a new video every week, so if you've enjoyed this, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and share it with people who you think may enjoy it too.